I went back outside to my mom's camper, which was right next to the house, and I had to fix her knee brace for her.
Okay, she had a knee brace on?
Yeah.
And that took?
Only 2 minutes.
Guys, I just got finished watching this absolute banger of a video by Killer Looks, and I am telling you right now, you do not want to miss this. No, you really don't. This is some of the most intense food for thought I have had in a long, long time, and it has absolutely forced me to go back and open up my own files on the Summer Wells case yet again. I have been looking at this for years, guys, over 4.5 years of tracking every movement, every statement, every lie, and the amount of information that is sitting in these files just continues to astonish me. It really does. It gets more and more disturbing every single time you look at it. But before we get into the heavy stuff, before we dive into these clips that are going to make your skin crawl, I need to make sure you guys are with me on this journey. If you haven't already, hit that subscribe button right now. Seriously, hit it. And ring that notification bell because I'm coming at you with these receipts every single day, and we are not stopping until we find out what happened to that little girl. We are building a community here that isn't afraid to look at the darkness, and I want you to be a part of it, so subscribe and let's get into the heart of this mess. Let's talk about that moment. The moment it all allegedly happened. We've heard Candace tell the story over and over, haven't we? She talks about planting flowers with her mother and Summer. It sounds so peaceful, doesn't it? Just a mother, a grandmother, and a little girl out in the yard. She says they finished up, went inside to wash their hands, and Summer got a piece of candy from her grandma. Candace says she walked Summer all the way to the porch, watched her walk into the kitchen where the boys were watching TV, and then she tells those boys, "Watch Summer. I'll be back." And then she says, and this is the part that just doesn't sit right, no, it doesn't sit right at all, she says that within 2 minutes she came back and asked where Summer was. 2 minutes. Just 2 tiny minutes. And the boys tell her she went downstairs to the playroom. Candace says she yelled for her, didn't get an answer, and then she went down and Summer was just gone. Now I want you to really think about that. In 2 minutes, a child vanishes from a house full of people? And Candace tells us she feels in her heart that someone came up on that property and lured her away. She's convinced someone was waiting, someone took her right from under their noses. But then, you have to look at what else she says. She says she's terrified of the woods. She won't even go for a walk or a run because of the bears, the snakes, the coyotes. So, which is it? Is the property a place where you're too scared to even walk? Or is it a place where a stranger can just waltz in, lure a child away in under 120 seconds, and vanish without a single person seeing or hearing a thing? It's a contradiction, guys. It's a massive, glaring red flag, and it makes you wonder if that 2-minute window even existed at all, or if it was just a story meant to explain away a disappearance that had already happened hours before. And then you have Don. Oh, Don Wells. We have watched him for years, haven't we? We've seen him make those emotional pleas, crying and begging for his baby girl to come home. He's told the world that Summer is probably locked up somewhere she doesn't want to be, probably hurt, probably in a dungeon. He says he prays for her safe return, but then you see the other side of him. You see the anger. You see that mask slip. He starts talking about wanting to kill whoever took her, talking about cutting their heads off, talking about violence that is so graphic it makes your stomach turn. Why is he so obsessed with the idea of a dungeon? Why is he so certain she's being held in a basement? Most parents would be talking about her being lost in the woods or being with a new family, but Don goes straight to the darkest places imaginable. It's like he's describing a reality he's already familiar with. And that's where the receipts start getting really heavy, guys. It's where the banger video really hits home. Because there are clips out there, disturbing clips, alleging that Don was taking these children back and forth to dope houses. And I'm not talking about a quick stop. I'm talking about taking them for days. Days on end. Why would a father take his children to a dope house? Why would he keep them there? There are claims that he was using those children as insurance policies. Think about that for a second. Using your own kids as collateral in a drug deal. It is sick. It is beyond disturbing. And the reports coming out about those trips? They say the children would come back with their faces beat. They'd come back with head injuries. There are witnesses saying that all the kids he took looked identical to Summer at that age. Every one of them. You have to ask yourself, what was really happening in those houses? Why were they coming back with trauma to their heads and faces? And then you listen to Don's own words. He's obsessed with the idea of Summer being hit in the head with a hammer. He brings it up out of nowhere. They might have hit her in the head with a hammer for all I know, he says. Who says that? Why a hammer? It correlates perfectly with the reports of the other kids having head injuries. It's like a slip of the tongue that reveals a horrific pattern of abuse. It makes you realize that the 2-minute kidnapping story might just be the tip of a very dark iceberg. We're talking about potential organized criminal activity right there in the holler. We're talking about claims that drugs were being sold to sedate the children. Why would you sedate a child? You sedate them so they can be touched without fighting back. That's what's being alleged. Little girls being sedated so monsters could get to them. And the names are coming out, people like Andy, who was allegedly supplying the stuff. Even Geordie Sue, someone who was close to them, said she found out about this just days before Summer went missing and she wasn't going to stand in front of him anymore. If there was a network of sedation and exploitation happening on that property, then Summer didn't just walk away. She was a victim of a system that had been failing her for a long, long time. And then we get to the Angel story. Don claims that 4 or 5 months before she vanished, an angel, he says, told him that something was going to happen. He says he told Candace to watch her closely because her time was short. He says it happened again just a week or 2 before she went missing. He says he knew the time was at hand. Now, you tell me, is that a divine premonition, or is that the foreknowledge of a man who is in debt to the wrong people? If you're involved in the drug trade, if you're doing Knoxville runs, and bringing dope back to the holler, you know when the bill is coming due. You know when people are getting restless. Was the angel just a way to prepare the public for the disappearance he knew was coming? He's basically admitting he knew she was going to be gone. He's admitting he knew she was in danger. But instead of taking her and running, he just tells his wife to watch her, and then waits for the inevitable. It's a story designed to make him look like a prophet, but it smells like a cover-up for a debt that was paid with a child. You look at his history, the stories he tells about Shark, California. He talks about seeing a 14-year-old girl dressed like a hooker and rescuing her. He talks about seeing kids in drug houses who were clearly addicted to cocaine. He tells these stories to look like a hero, a white knight, but what he's really doing is showing us how much he knows about the trafficking world. He knows the Mexican connections. He knows how to get an ounce of pure cocaine for $100. He knows that drug dealers will lead you out to the highway to make sure you're safe. He knows the awesome deals you can get when you have the right connections. He's bragging about his knowledge of the drug world while his daughter is missing. And then he acts shocked when the TBI, the Tennessee Bureau of Investigation, accuses him of selling his daughter for drugs. He says they followed him for 2 days, 5 or 6 cars, and what does he do? He goes to the bank, pulls out $2,000, and just starts giving away cocaine for 2 days to show them he didn't need to sell his daughter because he had money. Does that make sense? Does any of that sound like the behavior of an innocent man? You prove you aren't a trafficker by becoming a high-level dealer in front of the FBI? It's a total FU to law enforcement. It's the act of a man who feels like he's above the law, a man who knows where the bodies are buried and isn't afraid of the consequences. Every single piece of this puzzle points back to the same dark center. The 2-minute window, the lured-away theory, the insurance policy children, the sedation, the hammer, the premonitions, and the blatant drug runs, it all suggests that Summer was caught in a web of exploitation that goes way beyond her family. It's an organized network. It's a trafficking operation that uses drugs and fear to keep people quiet. And nobody in that holler is talking because they're all scared of being a snitch. They're scared of the people who supply the dope and the people who take the kids. But I'm telling you, we are not going to be quiet. We are going to keep looking at these receipts. We are going to keep playing these clips. Because Summer Wells deserves the truth. She deserves someone who isn't afraid to look at the monsters in the room. So I'm asking you, YouTube, what do you think? Do you believe in the angel, or do you believe in the dead? Do you believe in the 2-minute disappearance, or do you see a cover-up for a trade? The contradictions are everywhere, and the pattern of child transportation to dope houses is too documented to ignore. We are looking at a system of organized criminal activity that has claimed a little girl's life, and it's time we started calling it what it is. Make sure you're subscribed, because I'm not done yet. I've got more to show you. I've got more transcripts to break down. We are going to talk about the Knoxville runs and the people who were really pulling the strings. You don't want to miss it. No, you don't. We're going to get to the bottom of this together. For Summer. Let's really lean into this insurance policy allegation for a minute, because that is one of the most chilling things I have ever heard in all my years of studying true crime. Think about the mechanics of that. If you are a drug dealer or a transporter, and you're moving high-value product, you need a way to ensure you don't get ripped off and you don't get busted. What better way to look innocent than to have a van full of kids? What better way to ensure the person you're dealing with doesn't pull a gun on you than to have their kids or your own kids right there as collateral? It's a tactic that is used in the darkest corners of the world, and to hear it being linked to the Wells family is absolutely gut-wrenching. And the facial injuries? That's the hallmark of abuse used to keep a child in line. If they're being moved from house to house, if they're being used as shields, they aren't being treated like children. They're being treated like equipment. And the fact that Don keeps talking about Summer's face being beaten or her head being hit with a hammer, it's like he can't stop himself from visualizing the trauma that he knows was a part of that life. And then there's the sedation. Let's talk about Andy and the 110 house. If the allegations are true, that drugs were being sold specifically to keep these kids quiet so they could be touched, then we are talking about a level of evil that is hard to even comprehend. But it explains so much, doesn't it? It explains why Summer might not have made a sound if she was taken. It explains why the boys might have been watching TV and didn't notice their sister leaving. If everyone was sedated, if everyone was in a drug-induced fog, then a child could be moved right out the front door and nobody would even blink. Jordy Sue said she wasn't standing in front of him anymore. She said she had the receipts. Where are those receipts now? Why hasn't law enforcement acted on this sedation network? Is it because it leads back to people who are too powerful to touch? Is it because the drug trade in that area is so deeply connected to the local power structure that nobody wants to open that can of worms? It feels like a massive cover-up, and Summer is the one who paid the price. And what about the TBI's accusation? They told Don they had information that he sold his daughter for drugs. They didn't just pull that out of thin air. They don't make accusations like that unless they have a source, unless they have a reason to believe it. And Don's reaction, the $2,000 cocaine giveaway, is so bizarre that it almost confirms their suspicions in a roundabout way. He wanted to show them he was a big player. He wanted to show them he had the resources to get whatever he wanted. But in doing so, he only proved that he was a man who lived and breathed in the drug culture. He proved that he was exactly the kind of person who would have the connections to move a child through those networks. He didn't prove his innocence. He proved his capability. We have to keep asking the hard questions. We have to keep looking at the friends Candace had. We have to keep looking at the Knoxville trip. We have to keep looking at why an angel would warn a man about a kidnapping instead of telling him how to stop it. It's all a narrative, guys. It's a story built to keep us looking in the wrong direction. They want us to look at the woods. They want us to look at the lures. But the receipts tell us to look at the dope houses. They tell us to look at the insurance policies. They tell us to look at the people who were sedating children for sport. And that is exactly what we are going to do. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button. Don't forget to ring the bell. We are going to be diving even deeper into the bank records and the witness statements that the police have been sitting on for years. We are going to find the truth for Summer, because she doesn't have anyone else to fight for her. She was surrounded by people who were supposed to protect her, but instead, they were using her as a pawn in a game she didn't even know she was playing. It's a tragedy, it's a crime, and it's a scandal that needs to be blown wide open. I'm not stopping. I'm not going away. I'll see you in the next video, where we look at the Knoxville connection and the secret runs that Don Wells was making while his family was falling apart. Stay vigilant, guys. The truth is out there, and we are going to find it. No, you don't want to miss what's coming next. You really don't. Think about the angel again. Let's really pull that apart. Don says, something told me that something was going to be happening this summer. He says he asked Candace to keep a sharp eye on her. Now, if you truly believed an angel of God was warning you that your daughter was about to be snatched by a monster, would you just go to work? Would you just go about your day and tell your wife to keep an eye out? No. You would lock the doors. You would call the police. You would move. You would do anything and everything to prevent it. But Don didn't do any of that. He just waited. And when it happened, he had his story ready. The angel told me, he said. It's the perfect alibi for someone who knew the trade was coming. It's a way to act like a victim of fate instead of a participant in a crime. And that dancing in the rain video? The one where Summer is wearing the same dress she supposedly went missing in? Don says the angel came to him then, too. He says he knew the time was close at hand. It's so theatrical, isn't it? It's like he's directing a movie, and Summer is just an actress in his twisted drama. And the grandmother. Let's not forget the grandmother. She was there that day. She saw Summer get the candy. She saw her walk to the porch. Why isn't she saying more? Why is she staying so quiet while all these allegations of dope houses and insurance policies are swirling around her family? Does she know the truth? Is she scared too? Or is she part of the silence that has allowed this to happen for generations in the holler? We are talking about a cycle of abuse and drug use that doesn't just start with Don and Candace. It goes back. It runs deep. And Summer was the one who broke the cycle by vanishing, by becoming a symbol of everything that is wrong with that community. I'm telling you, the more I look at these files, the more I realize that the official story is a joke. The lured away theory is a fairy tale told to keep people from looking at the dope houses. The 2-minute window is a lie told to protect the people who were in the house that day. The truth is much more disturbing. The truth involves sedation, exploitation, and a father who used his children as collateral in a high-stakes drug game. And we are going to keep digging until every single person involved is brought to justice. So, stay with me. Subscribe, ring the bell, and get ready for the next update. We are going to be looking at the Knoxville receipts, the bank statements, and the phone logs that prove Don Wells was much more than just a hard-working man trying to provide for his family. He was a player in a dangerous game, and Summer was the ultimate price. I'll see you in the next one. Don't look away. No, you don't want to look away. Because the truth is finally coming to light. Get the dirt down. I want to leave you with one final thought before we wrap this up today. Think about the children who did come back. The ones who were allegedly used as insurance policies before Summer. They came back with facial injuries. They came back with head trauma. They are the living receipts of what Summer was likely going through before she vanished. They are the proof that this wasn't a one-time event, but a pattern of behavior. And if they look identical to Summer, what does that tell you? It tells you there is a market. It tells you there is a demand. It tells you that Summer wasn't just a daughter, she was a specific product in a sick and twisted network. And the fact that Don keeps talking about her being hit with a hammer? That is the most telling piece of evidence we have. It's a confession in the form of a hypothetical. He knows what happened to her head. He knows what happened to her face. And he's trying to prepare us for the day her body is finally found. But we aren't going to let him control the narrative. We are going to find out the truth on our own terms. Keep sharing these videos, keep talking about Summer, and keep demanding answers from the authorities who have let this case go cold. We are her voice now. We are the ones who are going to make sure she isn't forgotten. Subscribe, join the community, and let's keep the pressure on. I'll be back soon with more from the files. You don't want to miss it. No, you really don't.